What's up everyone, welcome back to Just Finish Coding. This is part 3 of our Tic Tac Toe AI series on Scratch 3, so let's get coding.
Just finished coding.
Now quick interjection here, if you've not watched part 1 and 2, please make sure you watch those videos first before you come here because we're picking up from where we left off and you will be very lost. I'll leave a card for you right here. Please watch the video and then come right back. Now if you're still here, I'm going to assume that you've watched part 1 and 2, in which case you're free to move on. So let's get right into the program. Now the first thing I want to do is to make sure that our square sprite is completely set up so that we can end up duplicating the sprites and not have to worry about any errors after we've duplicated them, in which case we'd have to replace all the sprites one by one, and that's not a good thing. So in order to do that, what I'm first going to do is, and it's completely okay if, by the way, if you do not understand exactly what's going on, just bear with me for now. So the first thing I'm going to do is to say when I receive the message, and I'm going to call this message game over, and this message would be pretty much broadcasted when it is game over. So if it is game over, in this case what it would mean is slightly different. It means that either the player has won or the computer has won. So in this case what we are going to do is we are going to head over to our extensions, add an extension, and click on the pen sprite. And here you should have an entire tab of new possibilities open up, and you want to put this code right in, which is called stamp, and right after that you want to hide the sprite. Now the reason we're doing this is so that we can have our end animation where the program itself would have a line drawn between through the winning squares, just like a normal tic-tac-toe game is played. Now we want to do one more thing before we start duplicating the squares, and that is within our when the sprite is clicked. So what I'm going to do first is to head over to your variables tab, and instead of make a variable, what you want to do is to click make a list, and you want to initialize 3 lists, out of which we need only 2, so I'll do 2 for now. But the first one is going to be called the square list. The second one is going to be called possible moves. There we are. And the third one is going to be called winning sequences. So if I type them out now, I just messed up that little bit. Sequences, there we are. Perfect. Now we'll get into what each of these are going to hold a little bit later on, and we'll also initialize them within the initializer sprite. But for now, just copy me as the exactly the way I am doing stuff. So within your when the sprite licked and your inner if loop, what you want to do first is to have this block in called replace item blah 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 blah, and you want to put that somewhere between your code. It doesn't matter if it just has to be before we broadcast comp to play. Alright, so first we are going to do this, and then we are also going to have delete whatever of possible moves or whatever comes for you. Okay, so the first thing I want to do up here is I want to grab this tab called item hashtag of thing, and I'm going to put this right inside this. So here I'm going to put item number of, and I'm going to head over to the variables tab once more and grab the variable called square number, and you want to keep the other two to be possible moves. And right here what you want to do is to replace the square number of not possible moves but the square list with an X, and that's pretty much it. That's all you have to do. Now let me explain what each of these lists are going to hold. Now your square list is going to be a list of all your squares and what their corresponding inside values are. So if the inside is vacant, we aren't going to have a V, but instead we're just going to leave a space. And in case the player has made a move there, and then the inside would be X and the corresponding square list value would be X. So we're going to have 9 values all the time in the square list list. On the other hand, our possible moves are going to hold all the possible values of squares that haven't been visited yet. In other words, it's going to hold all the squares whose vacant value is V. Whose inside value is V. So here the player and the computer are within these squares, the player and the computer are going to be able to make moves, and that is what our possible moves list is actually going to be doing. Now, the square list does not, change over time. What I mean by change is the number of items always remains the same. But the possible moves list is a little bit different, and every single time the player makes a move or the computer makes a move, we are going to delete the particular particular square number where the move has been made from the particular list. So that's what possible moves is really going to hold. Now, winning sequences is a little bit different, and I'll explain that in a future tutorial. Alright, there we are. So now that we've completely finished our square, we can go ahead and duplicate them. Now I'm going to hide these three lists first, and now I am going to duplicate each one of the squares. Now to duplicate it, all you have to do is right click on the sprite and click duplicate, and I'm going to do that 9 times. So just hold on with me right here, and I've got 5 now, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Perfect. Now what you want to do is to go to each one of the sprites and change their corresponding x and y values just like this. So for our square number 2, what our x would be, for example, our x would be 2, our y would be 1, and we want to have the square number to be 2. Basically the exact sprite number. And I'm going to do that for each and every square, and then I'm going to be right back. Alright, so I've changed each one of the square numbers, and I've also changed their corresponding x and y values. And at the end of this, if you have done this correctly, when you actually hit the go or the green flag, you should have a pretty neat, Tic Tac Toe board set up. Now, if you do not, then you've probably done something wrong with the x and y's. So I'm just going to go through each one of these so that you can check with your particular, whichever sprite is going haywire, and just check if you did it correctly. So it's going to be according to the grid, just like a graph, and it should be a pretty easy fix in case you didn't get this right. So right now I'm going to assume that you've got this right, and in which case I'm going to show you right now why we actually ended up using our start x and start y values, and how they are actually extremely useful. And although they seem pretty mundane, a few tutorials ago, they are perhaps, I would say, some of the most important values that you should have set up if you are making such a game. So now let's just say that I wanted to move this entire board to the top left corner. Just assume I wanted to do that. Now what I could do right now is to just change my start y to be something like 220. Then I could, oh wait, that's only 180, so I'm going to change it to 180. Then I am going to change my start x to be about negative 220. And now when I actually hit the green flag, you can see, oopsie, there we are. Now you can see I actually moved a lot to the corner, and I could actually change these values even more, but I'm not going to do so. This is just to give you a point, to make my point. And now I'm going to change these values right back to what they were, which I think was 150. I'm not entirely sure about that. So I'm just going to change them back to something, and remember, you can customize this anytime to whichever value you want. So I'm facing a little bit of a bug right here. Now I'm going to hit the green flag. Oh yeah, it was negative 150. Perfect. So now when we hit the green flag, now you can see we are back to the center. So in my Scratch editor, there's some problem when I press the green flag once, and I have to do it every single time, but you should not have that problem unless every Scratch user has that problem, in which case it would be different, but please pardon me on that. And that's it, we'll be coding in this video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you leave a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.